I've heard Mario Kart 7 described as the first time it really felt like it was just another Mario Kart, and considering Mario Kart 8 took all its mechanics and put it on a bigger console, you can't really help but feel that way. But is that actually true, or is that just something people say? We're going to find out the best way possible, and that's with a tier list or two. One for the racetracks, and one for the soundtrack. So, without further ado, let's begin with Toad Circuit. Of course, in its Mario Kart 8 rendition, it's much maligned, considering it probably should have been a stage in the booster course packs, but it's the first stage in Mario Kart 7. You never really start off with your best track. But does Toad Circuit do a good job of being a first track? Well, either way, it'll probably be better than Figure 8 Circuit. I think Toad Circuit is relatively simple, while also doing a relatively good job at showcasing at least one of the two new mechanics, the gliding. Into the second lap specifically, you end up seeing that there's a new glide ramp that spawned out of nowhere. This is also the first time that Mario Kart 7 does this thing that you're going to be seeing a lot of, where you can choose alternate paths. You can choose the glider, you know, the fun new gliding mechanic, or if you fancy, you can go underneath and just take a speed ramp. I don't know if either is faster than the other, but it's nice that they give you that choice, and it's a consistent thing they do later down the line, as you'll see. Well, of course, you get to enjoy flying for all it's worth, which, having played Mario Kart 7, the flying seems a lot more floaty. It seems like you can, like, have a lot more maneuverability than you can in 8, although I don't know if that's just me. Or obviously showcasing the coins as well. Instead of the outer drift, like in Luigi's Circuit, being a speed bumps, or speed boosts, should I say, it showcases coins, which is the new thing in this game. Well, not the new thing, but a returning feature from an old Mario Kart. It does its job of being a beginner track, showcasing new mechanics, and is got a couple of cheeky shortcuts. You know what, I actually don't mind Toad Circuit. Pretty good start, actually. A pretty good start. The question is, for all that it does well, does it sneak into B, though? You know what, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna say just about. It sneaks into B tier. In the same way that Mario Kart Stadium ended up being a very good stage setter, I think Toad Circuit also does a good job. Obviously not to the same scale, but we're dealing with different games here. Now, of course, we move on to the soundtrack. So let's have a listen, shall we? I'm a big fan of the way the trumpets sound. In Mario Kart DS, the Figure 8 Circuit trumpets were very nostalgic. In this one, I just like the way they sound. And then here comes my favorite part. I don't know what that sound is that you can hear. It sounds like microphone feedback, you know? Like right about here, if you listen, they're like, you can hear in the background. I don't know what that is supposed to be, but it gives it that little extra crunch that I like. So overall, again, is this the best track in the game? No, but I think it deserves some respect. Just a tad bit of respect. Good stuff. Good stuff. A nice opening gambit, I would say. What is next? I think we got a Daisy track, Daisy Hills. I've been accused of hating the Daisy fandom, which I do believe I've swatted those allegations. I don't have any problems with Daisy. Again, it starts off relatively simple. You could trick off these smaller platforms on the side to grab some extra coins. Again, the game is slowly trying to incentivize you to getting used to the idea of grabbing coins again. Got a nice cheeky, like a nice simple inward bound shortcut. There's even a ramp over there off to the side to entice you to take it. So it's getting the basics right for a Mushroom Cup track, I would say. And then you got the speed pads off to the side, a Luigi Circuit classic. But once again, it showcases the idea that I was telling you earlier, the alternate paths thing. Off where you see that coin just about over there. There's an alternate path there that you can take if you have a mushroom. This path does come with a bit of a risk. You actually have to have two mushrooms. One to bypass the flowers here, and what it'll do is it'll send you a path to the left through these windmills. So you're going to need a second one to probably maneuver through the grass there. But if you can do it, you actually get a pretty decent shortcut. But if you don't fancy that, you can go up to the sides here and get more speed pads. So again, alternate paths, making choices. A fountain for some extra coins. So again, is it the most memorable? Is it the most enjoyable? Am I gonna pick it the most? Probably not. But you have to. I do like the way that they've gone with the stage design in this game. I do have to respect it. I don't think it sneaks into B. I think a B would be a bit too generous. I like it though. I just want to say it's a very strong C. Okay, Daisy fans, you need to get away from me. All right, I like this one, but I don't think it edges into B. As for the music though, let's listen. It's a nice little bouncy tune, isn't it? Unlike Toad Circuit, I can't exactly point out something I particularly enjoy about this one. It's just kind of catchy, it's kind of bouncy, and to be honest, do you really need anything else? Sometimes that just works, you know? Does it edge into B, though? Am I gonna do the Daisy fandom a solid? I think it will. I think it'll edge into B. It'll be a low B, so don't get too happy. But I think it edges into B for me. It's just bouncy and lively enough to give it that little extra edge. What is next? We have Cheep Lagoon, another Cheep stage. This is the stage where they introduced the other mechanic that you saw probably on the back of the box as you bought this game as a kid. This guy was so excited to swim to get his sea legs wet that he avoided the ramp that they clearly placed for you to get some coins and just jumped straight in. Just got straight into it. You gotta admire the dedication, honestly. Yeah, underwater stuff, you feel a bit more floaty. I think I've criticized underwater before in that it doesn't really do a good job of diversifying the mechanics enough. At least when you're gliding, you're kind of up in the air. There's usually things to dodge. It's a lot more interesting. Underwater, less so. I can't really fault this stage too much for not being too interesting in the underwater department because it is the first time they're introducing it. They're probably not going to show their best mechanics right off the rip. But it does have a few things I quite like. So if we went back there, as you could see, you could trick off the seaweed things here. The trick mechanic might be old at this point, but like if there's anything with a slight bump, you can trick off it. Whereas something that was bumpy in normal races could probably be deadly. Somebody could probably bump off here. It could give you a nice trick. And also something I really like. They don't do this a lot in Mario Kart 8, I don't think. But one thing they do quite well in this stage particular is that they give you like these chances at extra item boxes. Do you know how like in most Mario Kart games, the items are just kind of set out in a line? There's like certain intervals you're supposed to get items. But there's an instance or two where, like, you can kind of... There's usually an extra item box if you're just going a little bit off the track. I know Mario Kart Super Circuit was very, very, like, guilty of doing that. And I kind of missed that sort of thing. I kind of missed the cheeky chance to get another item. And Cheep Cape does this quite nicely. Like, there's item boxes here, but you also have to be careful of the clams clumping you. And sometimes not all the clamps have item boxes. As you can see, this one has it. But the two up ahead, this one has a coin. That one didn't have an item box. So you kind of got to, like, pick and choose. Is it worth it trying to risk getting squished? I like that sort of thing. I really do. And, of course, they give you the choice here. Do you want to glide? Do you want to take the top route and glide? Or do you want to take the bottom route and enjoy some more underwater nonsense? A simple... grassy drift if you want to take a little bit of a cheeky shortcut right at the end. Again, very simple. Does a good job of introducing underwater. I'd say decent, not good. I think good is a bit of a stretch. But you can't really fault the track too much, if I'm being honest. So I think it's still a C. Probably prefer Daisy a bit more, but if there was ever a track to introduce underwater, this has probably done the most adequate job at doing it. So I have to give Cheep Kate that much credit. Do I give any credit to the music though? Let's find out. Definitely getting the beach underwater vibes from this, definitely. Sounds pleasant enough. It sounds nice, but I don't think it really goes anywhere. I think it just kind of like finds a spot and just stays. I feel like, as weird as this may sound, it feels like this track is content just being beach music, you know? It doesn't... For beach music, it's okay. It doesn't offend me, but it just feels like it's like, yeah, you're at a beach, you're at a lagoon, you're in like that kind of level. It just kind of does that, and that's really it. Does it? It feels a bit harsh to put in D, but that's what I'm feeling. You know, I'm gonna do it there. It feels just a bit too much. Hey, beach underwater music .mp3. It's just giving me way too many of those vibes. It sounds pleasant, but it just doesn't go anywhere. But what is next? We have got Shy Guy Bazaar. I actually really like Shy Guy Bazaar. Mario Kart 8 already has all the 3DS tracks I really wanted remade already done. But if there's one more 3DS track I want to come back, it's definitely Shy Guy Bazaar. It's just a really solid track, honestly. Desert Track doesn't really seem too enticing, especially for me. If you've watched any of my other tier lists, you know I've given my fair share of, or maybe my unfair share of criticism to desert stages. But there's something about a desert set at night in this like kind of like Arabian-inspired marketplace. That really just tickles me the right way, you know? It also helps that the track also isn't entirely on sand. I do like it when desert stages do that. If they're going to use sand as like a way to break up the handling and make it a bit of a difficulty maker, I like that sort of thing, which is what Shy Guy Bazaar does. Again, plenty of alternate paths to take in the stage. You can go straight ahead, you can go for that path on the right there. There's even an upper path. Like a true bazaar, there's just plenty of places to explore. There's pots to break, which have items inside that will slow you down, of course, so it's not really worth hitting them. And then these pots end up moving around. Nice one, buddy. And then there's a path off to the, just down below there. It doesn't look like you can take it, but on the mini-map, which you can't see in this video, but on the mini-map you can see that there's a path there, but it looks like you'll fall off the stage if you go there, but there's a nice little path there. Again, is it fast? Is it slower? I don't know, but I just like alternate paths. I think they're just fun game design. You got a nice little straightaway with some items before the final bit where you fly around. And then one thing that Mario Kart 7 will do consistently throughout, right? In Mario Kart 7, usually the obligatory end-of-lap gliding zone comes with a bit of a hazard, so you're not just, like, flying for the sake of flying. In this case, it's Shy Guys flying on magic carpets, as they didn't do in Mario 2, but they are doing now, that offer up a hazard for you to avoid. Nice little shortcut at the end there before it's another lap. It's a really solid Mushroom Cup track. It really is. I feel like this is the Mushroom Gorge of Mario Kart 7, where it's a Mushroom Cup track that, like, just hits surprisingly well for a Mushroom Cup track. Because you don't really expect Mushroom Cup to have any hard hitters, but for me, Shy Guy Bazaar does that. It does that in droves. So, you know, I want to put up here. I enjoy it a lot. I enjoy it absolutely a lot. I want it to be remade. Whether it's for the 8 deluxe packs, whether it's Mario Kart 9, you gotta do something with this, Nintendo. You gotta end quickly. Does the music inspire just as much as the track does? That sitar be hitting different, they really do. Yo, sitar man, bring it back. Definitely makes you feel like you're in a Shy Guy Bazaar. I like the music a lot. Not as much as the stage, but definitely enough to earn it a spot at the top of the beat here. It's good. It's good. That sitar hits nicely. It does. Good stuff. Good stuff. Is the next track good stuff? Let's find out. It is Wuhu Loop. Ooh. A fan favorite amongst loads of people. Whenever you hear what needs to make a comeback, what needs justice, the Wuhu loops are always brought up. Do they deserve such accolades? They're pretty solid tracks. This is the first instance in main series game where they've done a point-to-point track where these 3 different sections across one long stage. And I think they pull off quite nicely. It's a nice introduction to the concept, it really does. Simple shortcuts you can take along the grass if you have mushrooms, but... Well, you can again, alternate path. Oh, see the guy racing, he knows. Alternate paths. Wuhu has a few of them as well. Glide back into the stage, and then you have this cheeky shortcut, which only those who are brave enough will take. It is quite tough. Will this person take it? Probably not. It is a tough shortcut to take, but it offers a nice speed boost. And then you have another alternate path straight to on the right over there. It's a gliding path, but if not, then you have to avoid the boxes. Couple of cars as well on your way out before you loop back into the beginning. Pretty solid track, honestly. Firstly, I have to give Mario Kart 7 props for introducing these kinds of stages. I really like them. Also, do you love sports? I love sports. I love sports. This is speaking to me. While Wuhu Loop, the first one anyway, doesn't really do anything crazy too noteworthy, I think it definitely sells you on the idea, doesn't it? It does a good job at selling you of the idea, and I think it slots in B. I think it is solid enough. It's not mind-blowing as much as some people insist it is, but at least the first one, it's good. It does a solidly good job at showcasing what these tracks are all about. I wouldn't complain if you picked it on Mario Kart 7 Online, which, shockingly, there's still quite a few people playing. Same way that Excite Bike Arena, the music for that stage, just felt like Excite Bike music in a Mario game. This just feels like a Wii Sports / Resort remix in a Mario game, and I think it's very clear that that's exactly what it is, you know? And then when the electric guitar kicks in, there seems to be a common theme with Mario Kart 7, and it's instrumentation. It just hits my ears the right way, you know? I just love it. And the bit you've all been waiting for. Sing it with me. Oh, it feels good. Oh, is it an S tier already? It is just heaven to the ears. That guitar just hits me just so nicely. For the next track, live up to the hype, Meckrio. The obligatory Meckrio Circuit. This will probably be the quickest I've ever done a stage, because has there ever been a game where a Mario Circuit was like even remotely interesting? Because I feel like they just all do the job of just being a circuit track. But let's have a watch, shall we? Cherry Blossoms are nice. Royal Raceway did it better. Royal Raceway. Still can't say that track name properly. I actually, you know what, to be fair, I actually really don't like this bit here, because like, as this person has shown, if you trick off that mushroom, you're moving so fast that you don't end up aligning with the track properly. So like, you almost always inevitably hit the grass. This happened when I was playing it as well. It was a bit annoying. But like, if you want to adjust your angling, you have to not trick off that mushroom, or you just have to hope you have a mushroom so you don't get the speed penalty. It happens to this person, and I want to see. Let's just skip ahead a little. I want to see if this happens to the person in the next lap as well. Let's have a look, shall we? Look, it happens again, because then you're just not expecting it, and then one more time. Well, they've probably figured out at that point that you have to make sure you align yourself before the trick. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. That's the methodology. You have to align yourself before the trick, which I don't know if I like that, to be honest. It seems a bit, especially since you can't, with the bounce, you can't really see the stage coming. The first time you played this track, you would not know that you have to adjust yourself beforehand, you know, or just have a car with really good handle. You wouldn't know that. I don't like that Mario Circuit. I don't like that one bit. But it's quite neat that you actually go into Peach's castle. She was, you know, nice enough to renovate her castle for use. Oh, and I also like this. This is something that I don't think Mario Kart 8 used often, if they used at all, at least in their native stages. But it's the idea that when you trick off a ramp, like over here, there's pipes that shoot you straight up. Like, you can get like a gust of wind to keep your flight. I don't think Mario Kart 8 did that, like, at all, or very often. But like, they really encouraged you trying to fly more, you know? Like, I think this is the first stage that does that sort of thing, where they offer you like a gust of air so you can keep like cutting as inwards as you can. They're quite nice. You go inside the famous pipe, straight from Mario Raceway. And Mario Circuit from DS. Let's not forget either of those. But it's just... You know how I said, some people said this is the first time a Mario Kart game just felt like a Mario Kart? This just feels like... This is just Mario Circuit, bro. Like... What am I supposed to do? I don't ever want to play this track. Like, who wants to play Mario Circuit? Honestly. It's nice that they introduced the idea of, like, maintain your glide, I suppose, but... I think for that gimmicky mushroom bit, I think I have to knock it down. I mean, some of them are alright, but this one isn't one of them. You're never gonna see a Mario Circuit like up here. At most, they push for here. I think I put the GameCube one up here, but usually they're hovering around here, and I think this one is definitely on the lower end of the echelon for sure. And the music for this is the same as Toad Circuit, so I don't really need to bother with that one. What is the next stage? We've got Music Park. Oh my god! Music Park, my beloved. If there's one way you want to get on my good side, it's make a music-themed track. It worked in Sonic Advance 2, it worked in Rayman 1, and it's worked in Mario Kart 7. I just, like, the idea of just, like, going along a piano and it playing notes is just, like, really fun to me. The piranhas vibing along to the music, go along the xylophone, go along the glockenspiel, big drum, and then these music notes at the end that like jump on time to the beat. So if you're keeping track, you know exactly when these guys are bouncing, even if they're behind you. Which can be very useful to know, and especially when you're in the last lap and they speed up along with the music too. They really go all out with the theming. The stage is fun. The hazards also match the theming very well. Oh man, I love Music Park. I could never rate this track objectively, and I don't think I'm going to. I love it. I love it a lot. I love Music Park a lot. It goes in the A tier. As for the music though, you could probably guess what I'm going to think of this. Again, it's those trumpets in the background, like keeping the beat. I really like if you hear them. I just love the way they sound. And there it comes. I might as well just tear this already, otherwise I'm gonna end up vibing to this all fucking day. Upper echelon. Indeed. What is next? We have got Rock Mountain, otherwise known as Alpine Pass. Some reason again. I love me some Rock Mountain, I do. I'm a big fan, This is the stage where they well and truly show off gliding, and boy, do they let you really take wing. You go downhill here, you grab an item, and you fly into the clouds. Remember the first time you flew through Alpine Pass? It felt great, didn't it? And it feels great to think about, especially with the music as well. And you get the rock part of Rock Mountain. The boulders that come in, and watch your path, mate. But of course, they go left and right rhythmically, so you can choose your path accordingly. So it's an active hazard, which is, again, the kind of hazards I like a lot. Another chance to take wing. You can fly over if you have a bit of speed on you, which is nice. It's a very, very simple track. Like, I'm going to admit that. It is a very, very, very simple track. But just like the idea of just letting you fly just really far like that. The first time I played it, I really enjoy it. Every other time I've enjoyed it since. And even in Mario Kart 8, I enjoy it a heck of a lot. It's another A tier. It's another A tier for me. I absolutely adore Alpine Pass. Rock Mountain. Whatever you call it. We're both enjoying it, right? I'm sure we are. But the music, though. Are we enjoying the music? It's a trick question. Just listen to this guitar. Look what the man does. Look what the man does with the place. Bro, he goes hard. He goes hard. The shredding. Bro. There was never any doubt, and you know that. Oh, what's next? We've got another banger alert. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Banger alert. Whoop. Piranha plant pipeway or slide, whichever you fancy calling it. Okay, I've never really played as Bowser, so I've never noticed how big his shell is. Jesus, like, how does he even fit in any cars? Like, I could buy Waluigi, like, bending his knees so hard they can fit in the carts, but that must be uncomfortable with Bowser. Surely you gotta get a bigger cart, mate. King of the Koopas and all, you think you could afford it, but the water slide to gain some speed, this part is, like, the most fun for me. Just drifting to keep inside the water so you can get the speed boost. Cutting into, there's a little cheeky shortcut there. I also love the fact that the Goombas are blue in this one as well, which is obviously a reference to the original Mario Brothers, where the Goombas underground were also blue. So it's very clear what the homage is in this stage, if it wasn't already. A couple of sharp turns, gotta avoid the edges there. Get a little bit underwater as well. Upper path, lower path, side path, avoid the piranha, and then you got quite a nice hazard here. Actually, I don't know if it works the same way in Mario Kart 8, but the water here gushing can push you down. So if you're not high enough, you can actually miss the end. I don't think this will happen here. You see, they deliberately fly quite high to grab an extra coin while they're at it too. But yeah, you can actually get pushed down by the water and end up getting knocked out. It's just a very fun stage to play on. I just love the water speed mechanic. Is just such a fun mechanic. I'm shocked they haven't used it in more stages, honestly, because this part here, just drifting, to just keep inside the water, it just feels really good to play on. It really does. I love this track. it is a masterclass. It is a Nintendo perfection, as far as I'm concerned. The theming, the design, it just all culminates to make such a fun track to play on. It really is. Once again, to keep in with the theme of referencing the original Super Mario Bros. Games, you can hear the trumpets play a bit of the Mario theme. And then once again, they play the underground theme. I love the bass on this. The bass on the track is so nice. And in the end, I really like this track. So in the Mario Kart 8 rendition, the trumpets get a lot more love, but the bass doesn't. In this one, the trumpets feel a lot more muted, but the bass you can really hear that bass. And do you know what? I was gonna say, do the trumpets not being as emphasized lower it down from an S to an A? I don't think it does, to be honest. I still love this track. It sounds fantastic. The bass just adds that little extra crunch, you know? It's like a Dorito in the middle of your burger, do you know what I mean? It has a little crunch. You gotta love it, you know? You should try it sometime if you never have. But what is next? We have got Wario Galleon, or Wario Shipyard, if you're from anywhere else. So when I initially started like looking over the tracks on this game, I thought Wario's Galleon would be a stage that like I wouldn't look favorably upon. It just had that energy to me, you know? But having played it, it's pretty solid. Nice banana, mate. The theming does look nice, doesn't it? Once again, a bit annoying how underwater doesn't really seem to add much for me personally, but I do like the theming a lot, you know? It does the whole, like, sunken... Like, the whole idea of a sunken ship is something you can only really do with justice with underwater. So, even though the underwater itself isn't that interesting, the theming makes it more interesting, you know? And then once again, you have the swinging axe hazards. Or the swinging anchor, should I say. The obligatory end of stage gliding segment comes with a hazard, as I mentioned. Like I said, I came into playing this when I played this myself, wanting to hate it, but I don't think it's that bad. I actually, like, I love the theming. The stage itself is okay. And I think it sneaks into B tier. The music, though. What about the music? What is that melody? I don't know about the main melody, but I do know, like, if you hear listen to the trumpet in the background again. It seems like the background seems to be referencing some of the music from the WarioWare games. You can definitely hear like the beginning of the course theme from Wario Land 1. Like if you listen to this, and then you listen back to the trumpet in this. Very similar, right? Intentional reference. I like that sort of thing. I don't know if there's any more Wario references. Wario Land 1 is the only one I've played. I'm sure there is. Wasn't that one part in particular that really got me, but the bass was nice. I like the extra Wario Land reference they threw in there. It just sounds like it's just a solid. It's a tap. I tapped my foot to this. I was nodding my head. So yeah, I'll just leave it in B. So a B for the racetrack and a B for the soundtrack, matching all around. The next stage, match the pressure. Oh, oh my God, Neo Bowser City. This game is full of hits. This game is full of hits so far. We haven't even got to the retro bunch. I love Neo Bowser City. Just as I mentioned this when I spoke about Neo Bowser City in my Mario Kart 8 Deluxe video, but I'll mention it here again, of course. I just love the theming of the stage a lot. Just this cybernetic city that belongs to Bowser. It really is a far cry from the usual lava kingdoms he tends to have, so I just love this sort of aesthetic. I wish they would bring this to like the main series games. Mario Kart 8 made it come a bit more to life, but Mario Kart 7 is where the whole concept won me over for sure. And from its 8 rendition, it's pretty similar, just without the anti-grav section at the end, of course, but they did have something else in place. My favorite bit of this track being the dreaded multiple U-bends you have to do in the rain as well, so oh man, doing this for the first time, like, it really just gave you a dopamine boost, didn't you? You have to make sure you have a certain set of wheels to be able to drift that. In Mario Kart 8, you might recognize it as an anti-grav section, but in this version, there's puddles on the floor. They took it from Luigi Circuit on the Game Boy Advance. But there's puddles on the ground. If you hit them, you simply slip over as if you got hit by a banana. So, and you will notice how they're placed. They're kind of precariously placed as well. So this one is like deliberately placed so you can't drift inwards immediately. You kind of have to wait a bit before you do it. And this one is like, if you've decided to stay wide, as the first puddle forces you to do, this one either kind of forces you inward or forces you outwards. And if you did go outwards, you have to dodge that one as well. So the 3 puddles are placed very strategically, almost quite intentionally, actually. So I really like that. It's such a good stage to play on. It's such a good stage to play on. I love it. And what else but S tier? I adore Neo Bowser City with all my heart. And even though it's been remade for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, I'm a very greedy man. Bring in Mario Kart 9, please. For the love of God, please do it. Just for me. Just for me and only me. The music. Oh, the music. What is that bumping at melody? Hey, yo, pass me the aux cable. Yo, mister, you better not play shit. I swear to God, if you play something bad, I'm gonna kick you out this car. And here comes the best part. Okay, I got to stop, or I'm gonna do that all night. Never really any doubt where I was gonna put this. There really shouldn't have been. Amazing is the next track. Amazing. Wuhu Mountain Loop, or just Maka Wuhu, as everyone else would call it. The bigger brother of the Wuhu Loop stages. Definitely got a bit more to it as well. So let's see what it's like. Immediately starts you off with an optional alternate path. You got like 2 converging paths here. Quite nice of them to do again. I like that sort of thing. Mud puddles to keep your drift inside. You know, you kind of got to watch your drift a little. So it's already started off a lot more interesting than the first one. And of course, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the fact that, of course, anyone who played Mario Kart 7 will know you could like drift off the track over here and it would skip like the whole second portion and you'd be on the third portion instead. A very infamous glitch that they had to patch out, because what would end up happening is that people would pick this stage online hoping that other people didn't know about the glitch so that they could like drift off the stage, get massively ahead, and then just win a track and get easy points that way. This is the part where your Mario Kart muscle memory either ends up failing you or your new memory ends up like helping you, because even though it looks like, again, water, you kind of associate water with you probably don't want to go in there. There's a path up there, so you can't just jump straight into the water and just go up. Probably something you won't do, or something you probably noticed the first time you played because you're so used to water being a hazard, but yeah, something you could do. Gonna be honest, I didn't notice that until just now. So when I was playing it myself, I didn't notice it. And then you have the castle shortcut as well. If you have a mushroom, you can just skip this castle bit straight up. It's quite, you do get quite a bit of a speed for that shortcut as well, so it can be useful in a pinch. And then you get to the final section. They borrowed the rocks from Rock Mountain to give you a bit of a hard time, but I think the ending bit is probably what we're all here for, right? The big glide, as I call it, because you get to free fly just like you did in Alpine Pass. And obviously you get another alternate choice here. You can dip straight down for like a speed boost, or you can go to this middle platform to grab an item. Actually, is there an item down there as well? Oh, there is an item down there as well. But yeah, you can make a choice. Do you go straight down, or do you continue a flight this way? It's quite nice. Bit of a shame there isn't an end of stage hazard like there was in a lot of the stages, but it's quite nice being able to fly that high. I wish they added like something like a bit more interesting to that, maybe like some ways to like keep your flight going. A good end to an overall good stage, I would say. A good stage. What, do you just go in circles once you're done? Oh hell yeah, just flex it. You just flex and go around in circles. But yeah, it's a pretty good stage. Again, a lovely love letter to Wii Sports as a whole. I don't think it has quite enough going for it to put it in A for me personally, but I do prefer it more than the other Wuhu Loop stage. And the sunset just looks lovely too, so it gets bonus points for that. But I think a B tier is where it deserves. Music, well, it's a repeat track, so I won't be rating it, but it simply stays in S. It's already S again. What is next? DK Jungle. Ooh. When I'll rank this in my Mario Kart 8 video, I very controversially didn't rank it that high, despite it being a bit of a favorite amongst some. What was extra annoying is probably the fact that I don't think I articulated why I don't like this stage a lot in that video, but I'm gonna articulate why I don't like DK Jungle that much in this video instead. It might be a bit of a weird thing to not like DK Jungle for, but essentially one thing that I really like that Mario Kart does is that they make original concepts for stages, right? For example, whose idea was it to give like Waluigi a pinball table, or Wario a stadium, or like Yoshi a circle made out from his goddamn face? You know what I mean? It was a weird concept that they just came up with and then they just put it in the game. Again, Daisy, a cruise ship. She probably has one. She's a princess, but whose idea was it? We just don't know. But I like it when Mario games take us to like very original, like weird places that like the characters just so happen to either own, or it's just their name is just put on it. I don't know how it works. I don't know how the Mario Kart lore works, if they build the stage or if it's just the names upon it. So in the case of DK Jungle, where it's very clearly inspired by Donkey Kong Jungle Returns, for the many a theme that Donkey Kong Country as a whole, if we're being specific, Donkey Kong Country has, it's a bit annoying that they just went for the jungle theme, which is a theme that has been in Mario Kart like 1.5 times. So the fact that they did a jungle stage again, it just really irked me when I first saw this stage. And it kind of still irks me now, to be honest. Like, is it a nice reference to Donkey Kong Country Returns? Yeah, but I feel like that's all it is. So like, for example, one thing I really liked about Excitebike Arena is that they took the idea of Excitebike's level creation mode and implemented that as a mechanic in the stage itself. It's really fucking clever they did that. Same with Animal Crossing in Mario Kart 8 as well. The whole seasonal aspect, changing the hazards and the elements of the stage. They incorporated an element of Animal Crossing in the actual way the stage was designed from the ground, you know, from the ground up. And in this one, it just feels like they took the DK Jungle, you know, they put his house there, they put a couple of the basic level 1 enemies, they referenced the giant banana that you get if you do all the temple stages. They referenced the screaming pillars, I guess, and that's just kind of it. Considering all the themes they could have taken from Donkey Kong Country Returns, the factory theme, the mine theme, those two probably being the most iconic, I would say. The minecart levels from Donkey Kong Country Returns, from Donkey Kong series as a whole, very iconic. The factory setting, I think, is probably one of the more unique settings, especially for a Donkey Kong game. They could have based a stage around one of these, but instead they took a jungle, which, again, something that they've done 1.5 times already. So this just feels like they just wanted another jungle stage and they just put Donkey Kong Country Returns assets in there. And it feels like they could have done something different if they were going to reference Donkey Kong Country Returns in Mario Kart. That's all I'm saying. They definitely did it better their second time out with Excite Bike and Animal Crossing and even Hyrule Circuit. But the first time they did it in this game, I think it was a miss for me personally. That's the best way I can articulate my issue with this stage. But that's my issue with this stage as a concept and as a theme. But even to race on, I just don't think it's that interesting. And I certainly don't think this is a good opener to the Special Cup. So, very weird philosophy aside, I'm gonna leave it here. I think I've elaborated enough. As for the music, I feel the same way about the music as I did about the stage. It just feels like they're like, oh hey, let's get the Donkey Kong theme in there, and then that's kind of it. And then it's the Donkey Kong theme. Do you recognize the Donkey Kong theme? Do you recognize it? It sounds okay, I suppose, but just... Am I thinking about this a bit too cynically? Maybe. But again, the fact that in Mario Kart 8, the next game, they kind of perfected the idea of like a crossover stage. I feel this one just feels really lackluster to me. I think I'm just going to leave it and see. The instruments sound nice. It's not offensive to the ears, but I feel nothing when I play the stage or hear the stage. Oh, man. Let's move on, shall we? To Rosalina's Ice World. Obligatory ice stage. Didn't know Rosalina had an ice world, but sure. Very nice of her to finally get a home stage. It's a shame that it was an ice stage. But is it any good? I think this whole stage just kind of like lives and dies off this opening turn. I really love this drift here that you have to do. This drift section is like the most interesting part of the stage because you kind of have to make sure that you stay here. You can go up, like on the ramp a little, but if you go up too hard, then it forces you down. And you kind of don't want to, you don't want to be too close to the edge because you risk falling off. But you don't want to be too high because then it'll kind of force you down. This is also one of those like sections where like the hazard isn't necessarily drifting, but it's the way that other players could screw you over while you're on this hazard. Think about the DK Mountain Bridge section and the rolly thingamajig in the DS Bowser Castle. Those are the two things I'm thinking of. This kind of harkens back to that. Just if you got bumped here, like if you were light when you got bumped here, you'd fall off. If you got hit here, you'd probably get like, while you were tumbling, you'd probably fall off as well. But yeah, as I said, that's probably the only interesting part of the level design on this track. You could choose to go underground or above ground, although I think that decision's taken away from you as the game progresses, as the icicles start falling apart, and a few icicle hazards for you to avoid. An alternate path to the side there if you fancy taking it. That's just kind of it. No obligatory end of stage glider section. Yeah, I mean, firstly, it's a nice track, so it's already an uphill battle to impress me. But then secondly, your first section is the most interesting, and that's kind of it. I'm just gonna leave you here if that's okay. I'm okay, thank you. A shame. If the rest of the stage was as interesting as the beginning, I would give it higher, but nah. What about the music? The drum is very catchy, I'll give it that. And then like the very low piano, again, quite catchy. I probably like that low piano and the drum pattern more than the actual melody itself, if I'm being honest. Which is why when it goes on this part coming up here, it's a bit of a miss. Sounds okay, but... Just a real shoulder shrug, and we know where we put those. We put those right there. And we just move on with our day. Alright, what is next? We have got Bowser's Castle. We love our favorite King of the Loopers, Bowser. But is his castle any good this time? Let's find out, shall we? Starting with a glider section already. A choice to make, up or down. What do you fancy? Cheeky shortcut you can take off to the side over there. You got a roly-poly thing here. Not as interesting as the DS one, but what is interesting is like this visual. Flame pillars underwater? I don't know how magic fuckery you managed to pull off to get this to work, but god damn, Bowser, you're crazy. You are actually crazy. But here's a nice visual and a decent hazard, Along with these as well, you can trick off the ramp, but if you're at the fire, you gotta be careful. Oh, nearly fell off there. See, he tried to risk it. Just to risk it for a biscuit. A decent Bowser Castle. I think the underwater section is probably the most interesting. It's the most unique section of this Bowser Castle. It's okay. I don't hate it. But does the underwater fire like bump it up at all? You know what, I will. I think I'll put it. I think it's good. It's good. It's good enough. I think it's good enough to go into B. I wouldn't mind playing on this track. The drifts are okay. The shortcuts you can take are decent enough. And the underwater section definitely visually is interesting. And is a nice little mix-up from the usual Bowser Castle hazards. What is the melody? Ooh, that drum already. I love the way that, like, fucking guitar just insists on lingering for a bit longer, you know? So, like, you hear it and it's just like... It just sticks around for a bit longer, you know what I mean? We're really driving it home. And I think, over here... I wonder if I've ever recognized that melody somewhere before. Boy, I wonder. For some reason, let's just listen to the Bowser Castle version in GameCube. A nice little callback. A nice little callback. A nice alternate take on the GameCube music there. I like it. I like it. I think it definitely deserves a spot in the high A tier, I'll say. Very good Bowser Castle music. Let's finish off the base game tracks in style with Rainbow Road. Arguably one of the best Rainbow Roads in the series. Wii fans will insist it's Mario Kart Wii's one, but you know what? I'm not that big on Mario Kart 7, or as like a whole, but you have to give it to this Rainbow Road. You have to give it the credit it deserves, surely. I don't know whose idea was it to like, hey man, let's find a Mario Kart game and let's drive on the moon. We want to go on the moon. Whoever's idea that was, they were definitely onto something when they made the stage. Starts off decently enough. You gain some speed. You make a big loop around this planet here, this planetoid, asteroid. I don't know what it is. You know, a bit of a wavy track. You can gain some speed, get some items while you're at it. A sharp little turn to keep you on your toes. A very sharp turn. But it's just a fun Rainbow Road to play on, isn't it? And I think you get to the iconic part pretty shortly. Nice little speed boost drifts here before you get into... Oh, nice one. He flipped into the moon with style. And then it goes into like the moon version of the music and you're just like, whoa. This is crazy, dude. It's just a fun little segment, isn't it? I don't think this Rainbow Road does anything particularly crazy on the difficulty front, because I usually associate Rainbow Road with difficulty, but I think with just like especially this flying section. This flying section is really fun, because every time you go through one of these stars, it kind of like gives you a jolt of air, as you can see. So it's just fun catching every one of them. I don't know if it's the faster path, but I do know it's a lot of fun. It's a fun way to finish the course. Again, like I said, not the most difficult Rainbow Road, but it's a rainbow experience, isn't it? It's a rainbow experience. That's probably what it is, isn't it? Because you really go around the galaxy in this Rainbow Road, don't you? And it just feels great. I think it does. I think it's an S tier. I think it's an S. There isn't a more Rainbow Road than this Rainbow Road. If aliens were going to shoot us down and we had to introduce the best Rainbow Road representative, it'd be this one. This is the most rainbowiest Rainbow Road of all Rainbow Roads. Make sense? The music!
Die. It's Rainbow Road.
It's Rainbow Road. It's where you go when you die. It's Rainbow Road. I'll miss you again. Oh. I think my singing says it all, really. A fantastic track. You can't. Heaven to the years. Nitro tracks were pretty good, but let's have a look at the retro tracks. I mean, when you look at the list, look at that. That's a pretty decently stacked list of tracks. The question is, how do they play? Let's find out. Let's start with Luigi Raceway. A pretty simple track as the first retro track, but I feel like unlike Mario Kart DS, which decided, hey, let's just put a bunch of first tracks in all of Shell Cup, this game decided to just have the one first track. I do like the one change they made, which I actually didn't know this was in the N64 version, because I never played the N64 version. But this blue section here, you can't drive on, but you can in this version. I've only ever seen this version, so I just thought that was always a thing. If you want to take a higher ground route, avoid the rabble down below, grab some extra coinage while you're up there, you know? A pretty simple addition to an already simple track to make it just a little more interesting. I do like the fact that, like, if you haven't got a mushroom, you kind of have to do a little hop just to jump over. I do quite like that. It's a nice little touch, you know? Damn, this guy... This guy trying to take off with how much he's spinning that Tanuki tail. Really do anything crazy, but then again, it's the first of the Shell Cup, so you just want to keep it simple, really, don't you? I'll just leave this here. No strong feelings. That's really it, to be honest. As for the music, though. I mean, I think it's pretty similar to the Wii version. I can't really notice any difference outside of the 3DS compression, but it's pretty much the same as the Wii version. The Wii version was pretty solid as it was, so I see nothing wrong with putting this up here and calling it a day, to be honest. What is next? We have got GBA Bowser Castle 1. Boy, oh boy, I have a little bit I want to say about this track, so let's get into it. Specifically the music, but let's talk about the racetrack first. I mean, it was the Bowser Castle 1 taken straight from the Mushroom Cup in GBA. Relatively simple. Where is this guy drifting? Only the Lord can tell you. I like the fact that you can hop over this edge. The faster you get, the more you can hop over that little edge. Other than that, it's, again, another relatively simple track. Gotta avoid the fireballs as you jump in here. And in the second lap, if I'm not mistaken, they add a glider. So once the second lap starts, there's a glider ramp just to mix things up a little bit. I do like the glider in Mario Kart 7, as I've mentioned before. You can get some really nice height on there. I don't think you get enough height to be able to, like, cut the turn up ahead. I think you do end up having to drop to the ground before. Well, actually, hang on. I say that, but I just noticed that off to the left here, there's a ramp. So if you are speeding enough, you can jump that. Oh, that's actually nice. I never noticed that. I actually don't have a mushroom on this part, so I never really got to take a good chance of that. That's a good use of a glider in the section which would otherwise feel like they just threw it in. So, you know what? Good on it. Good on it. You know what? I fuck with that. While that is a nice addition to the track, I don't think it does enough to, like, put up here, you know? I don't think it does enough, but it's definitely not, as simple as it is, I don't think I could put it down here, you know, because it does enough with what it has, you know? So I'll leave it and see. As for the music, though, oh boy. There was something that I was waiting for Bowser Castle to do when it came to the music, and I think the 7 version finally did it. But let's do a bit of backtracking, shall we? So if we go back in time to the GBA version of this track, where it originated from, listen to the music. You can very clearly hear a very nice guitar there, but, you know, it's crunched under the Game Boy Advance compression. So I was always excited for, like, whenever a track remade a Bowser Castle GBA stage, I was going to hear that lovely guitar again. And the DS version sadly ended up disappointing me on that front, because the main melody isn't really using that guitar that I love so much on this version, you know? It wasn't really using it. So now finally, about GBA Bowser Castle was remade for this game, and once and for all... No. Fantastic. Upper echelon. If Mario Kart 8 Deluxe finally ends up giving a GBA Bowser Castle rendition, I want to hear that electric guitar in its beautiful orchestration that the Mario Kart Deluxe is capable of. What is next? Mushroom George. An absolute Wii classic. Of course, the one main change that you can see from the overarching cameras is this blue mushroom. They introduced blue mushrooms today. I don't know if the original Wii track had so much crystals around the outside. Looks very nice though in this version. But yeah, otherwise unchanged from the Wii version, which if you want to see me fanboy about, you can go ahead and watch that video once you're done with this one. Of course, as I said, the main change, is he gonna go left? Go left for me, big man. No? Right? I want to find it when someone glides. I think we got Glider Man over here now. Yeah, those nice coins. I wonder if it's possible to like use the glider's momentum if you have a mushroom to just cut across to do like the shortcut thing. I wonder if it is. I don't know. But either way, I quite like this version of Mushroom George. I say that as if it's really changed too much, but with an extra glider section, I think it adds just enough to switch it up just a bit. I think originally I put it up in A tier, and I see no reason why this version shouldn't be as well. Even if you don't like the glider section, you can always just avoid it by going right anyway, so... Either way, good stuff. Good stuff all around. Not really much else to say, to be honest. What about the music, though? The music... It's just as you remember it. It's just as you remember it. And just like the Wii rendition, I think my favorite part tends to be the clapping. And this is where the observant of you will notice that they added one weird change to this version over the Wii version. Let me see if you can hear it. So in the Wii version, when it loops, it sounds like this. Let's see if you notice the difference, huh? The drum seems to like hit to indicate the loop of the track, whereas the Wii version doesn't really do that. It doesn't annoy me, it doesn't elate me, it does nothing really. It's just, oh, okay, that's an interesting tidbit. Does it belong here though? I think there's so much stiff competition in the S tier that like, I just can't put this up here. I just can't. I think a strong A contender. Beautiful stuff. Now we've got Luigi Mansion DS. It's not the 10th Luigi's Mansion, it's the one for the DS, the console. This guy's obviously trying to do the snake drifting, you know? It's not quite working out there, brother man. Or maybe he just wants to be 5th so he gets a better item, because that's how old Mario Karts used to work. Either way, I quite like this track from the DS, so I'm glad they brought it forward. Obviously, the most interesting part of the map tends to be the end, but they did add an extra glider section in this one. In this section here. We're usually supposed to have a mushroom, but this guy decides to wing it nonetheless, quite literally. And of course, you get the mud that messes up your handling, but also trying to go for those islands of regular track are a bit out of your way, so you really have to be careful with your turning here. But it's not too difficult a hazard to warrant any sort of special treatment, you know? It's a worthy Shell Cup type hazard is what I'm trying to say, you know? It's not too difficult. Can't go wrong with a bit of Luigi's Mansion. I'm going to put it in B tier. Toad Circuit just about creeps in B. But this one also is right there. I'd like it. I like it. As for the music, though... I think someone did inform me. I actually know what instrument that is. In my DS tier list, I didn't know what instrument that was, but I think someone left a comment. Dylan Fueling said the instrument in Luigi's Mansion is called a cabasa. Thank you very much, Dylan. Very cool. Back to the music, though. I want to hear the again. The cabasa. I quite like it, to be honest. I like that sound. Oh, 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 oh. A foot tapper. A foot tapper, if I do say so myself. I'll put it here. I think right in the middle of the T. The middle of the T is what it deserves. Right, what have we got next? We have got Koopa Beach N64. Oh, hang on, I didn't even notice that. On underwater stages, he wears like a snorkel thing. I actually didn't notice that. Nice touch. Either way, we got Wiggler Wednesday with a golden cart on wheels. Looking good, brother man. The stage gives you a choice right off the rip to go around the Koopa statue, either side you want. I do like this nice little shortcut that you can do with a mushroom. Although, to be honest, with considering how much time this shortcut saves you, because you get to go like straight ahead and then go around, whereas everyone else has to kind of go around the mountain. So whereas everyone else has to go like like that, you kind of just go like that, you know? Like, maybe you could argue that's too much of a shortcut. I don't know. Like, imagine not having a mushroom here. I could see some people, like, kind of slowing down maybe a bit so that someone goes in front of them so they could get, like, a better item, so they might get mushrooms so they could speed up ahead. I don't know. I actually don't know. It feels like it's a big shortcut. But I don't know. I'll leave that to the experts in the comments. Because Lord knows I certainly ain't one. Oh, Wiggle is angry. Wiggle is angry. I forgot he does that. It's a nice touch. I think the stage is okay. I don't think it's anything crazy. That shortcut is interesting, but I don't think it does enough to win me over exactly. I'm gonna leave it here. I think that shortcut gives it just enough going for it, but I still don't feel too strongly to warrant it either side of the sea line. Is the music gonna win me over, do you think? Let's find out, shall we? I really like that flute. That flute just sounds really nice. Like, the steel drum rocking the melody sounds good, but the flute just comes in like... And then again. I actually think a very noteworthy mention definitely has to go to, like, the strings and, like, the triangle in the background. Like, I feel like it gives it enough depth to the track to make it a bit more interesting than it otherwise be with just a steel drum. So I have to give it, I have to acknowledge that for sure. Like, just listen. Sounds nice, doesn't it? It really, like, the string in the background, the triangle, and then towards the end. It is quite simple in its design, but I think it just nails it for me. I think it does. I think it earns enough to be in the B tier. Just creeps in, I would say. Actually, you know, just creeps in. I don't know. Actually, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I want to put it there. I think the middle of the tier is what it deserves. I'd say I like it more than these four for sure. Simple in its execution, but I think it has just enough going for it. Where it just hits me in the right spot. I tap my foot to it, that's for sure. But what's next though? I've got SNES Mario Circuit 2. Mario Circuit 2. Another Super Nintendo track. Does it deserve to be remade? Do any of the Super Nintendo tracks deserve to be remade? Wiggle is going crazy. Everyone step aside. Lock up your Goombas. I think probably the one part of this track that makes it at least somewhat interesting is this glide ramp at the end. Other than most Mario Kart 7 or even Mario Kart 8 tracks, where sometimes I feel like they just add a glider section for the sake of adding a glider section on the ramp, just to justify the mechanic. This one actually is quite interesting because instead of just like gliding up and then just immediately gliding down, straight down here into the grey asphalt, you see this like yellow thing off to the side here. You can actually bounce on that to get a little extra airtime, which I think this person might do. Not quite. They don't quite do it. But you can bounce off this bit here to get a little bit extra airtime so you can cut through quite nicely. I like that. It's quite a nice way to justify the glider without just like where you just glide up and then just glide down straight away. It's quite nice. I like it. It's a good addition. It especially makes for very tense finales, which I remember having many a time when you play on this track. So, you know what? It might seem like I'm being too generous, but I feel like adding that extra bit of tension towards the end of a race, I think it just about puts in it. Whereas like with Koopa Beach, that like interesting shortcut wasn't enough to boost it up a tier. I think the interesting ending of Mario Circuit 2 is enough to just boost that up, you know? At least that's how I feel. But how do I feel about the music? The music is, well, I think it's the same as the Wii rendition, if I'm not mistaken. Or at least very similar. One thing that I liked about the Wii rendition that I think the DS rendition kind of missed out on was the drum in the background, the big drum. And I do feel like this is just lifted straight from Wii because of the way the drum sounds. You got the bass going crazy, main melody doing this thing, drum guy keeping it interesting. Again, simple, to the point, foot tapper. I think it just about creeps into the tier if I'm being honest. Look how many B tiers I've got, Jesus Christ. There's so much. The racetracks, I think there's a bit of an even distribution, more so aligning towards like the better end, but the music is just... Am I being too generous? No, I'm not. The music's great. Anyway, what's next? Wii Coconut Mall. An absolute certified hood classic makes its return in Mario Kart 7. I remember being quite annoyed that this track got remade for 7, because at this point, if I'm not mistaken, at this point in the series, every track had only had one remake, not counting Super Circuit. Every track had only been remade once. So like once a track got remade for one game, you're like, oh, it's never appearing in the sequel game, or like ever again, pretty much. But obviously, since they're starting to remake, some tracks have been remade again. So I was upset that this one got remade because I didn't think it'd be in Mario Kart 8, which is where I wanted it for. But how does the 7 rendition stand up? Let's have a look. Of course, this is when they made the very drastic change where the escalators
don't even look like escalators,
as the iconic line goes. Instead, they've been marked with arrows, which, to be fair, I don't really mind so much. I know that might annoy some people. And I even said this in my Mario Kart Wii tier list. I feel like the escalators were a bit too punishing in that regard, because you really had to squint and look at them just to see which ones were the right side. So I feel like maybe the arrows were a bit of an overcorrection, but I still think they needed to do something with that. I feel like the arrows are okay enough, you know? Especially considering this is supposed to be still a flower cup track, you know? So it's supposed to be kind of beginner-ish. Other than that, if I'm not mistaken, most of the track is pretty much the same. Obviously, the obligatory end of stage jump out of the mall is a glider section, as it always is. A little ramp on the side still hasn't been removed yet. You've got the dreaded cars, which take yet another victim. And if I'm not mistaken, ooh, just about threads the needle there. Some of those 3 cars in the original. There's only 2 in this one. Doesn't bother me personally, but I could see someone getting annoyed by that. Other than that, it's the same track we know and love. I think I put it amongst the best in Mario Kart Wii, because I genuinely believed it was. But does it deserve to sit in the same halls as Rainbow Road, Neo Bowser, and Piranha Plant Slide? I really have to think about this. I'll put it at the top of A. I think the top of A is where it deserves. Like, these 3 tracks are absolute masterclasses. Coconut Mall, though, it's good. It's very, very good. See, how I think is that if I'm hesitating for a bit too long to put a track in S tier, does it really deserve it? Because with these 3, it is without a shadow of a doubt. They're S tier track. But Coconut Mall, though, considering the competition it's going up against in this game, yeah, I think a top A tier will do it nicely. A good track worthy of being remade, maybe again for Mario Kart 8, as if I don't know it already has been. The music, though, what do we think about the music? Ding. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's just they took the rendition from Mario Kart Wii and just poured it here with a few minor changes that I personally haven't noticed too much. Give me that saxophone, baby. I just absolutely love this bit. There's so much going on here. Just listen. You got like the scales, like the piano, like a low piano playing scales in the background. You got the accordion. You can hear a bit of a steel drum as well. And then this part. While I might have hesitated to put the Racetrack and S tier, the music just hits me in all the right places. It has to be said. It's a pop of a track. What a glorious feeling. Can the next stage give me a glorious feeling? Oh boy, oh me, oh my. I think I'm looking around for something that I can fan myself with, but I've been left high and dry. I'm just gonna have to deal with the heat that Waluigi Pinball is exuding while it puffs out its chest. What a fantastic track, right? Interestingly enough, as this track was remade for 7, I remember there being loads of people happy about this track. But as the years have gone by, especially since this track has been brought forward in the booster course pass, which I'll talk about soon, don't worry, if I haven't already. Like, this track has seemed to have fallen out of favor with a lot of people, which I can kind of understand. I think the one main gripe I've seen, which is a genuinely good argument, is that this stage has no shortcuts. Now, while shortcuts don't bother me personally, the fact that a stage doesn't have one is definitely a mark down on its score. But the aesthetic of the pinball, the extra sound effects the stage gets, this bit as well, where like you're right in the middle of the pinball table. Obviously in the first lap, the pinballs are still loading, so they're not really a hazard. And of course at the end, where they do probably one of the most charming things I love so much, when you end up going in between the pinball flippers at the end of the track here, there's a sound that plays, if you can hear it. It's like the table assumes that you're a pinball that just gutted, and you're gonna reload into the track, which is where this initial pinball flying segment comes in. It's a really thematically nice way to loot the track, you know what I mean? And then you get greeted with the Waluigi pinball sign, right, as you end up shooting in as a pinball. You cannot deny that this track has a great aesthetic and theme to it, and it sticks to it so nicely. So while it might not be the best to race on, if I'm gonna take my rose-tinted glasses off, I might admit that it still wins me over. The question is, though, does it live on the upper echelon? That's the question. I'm gonna have to think about this. It's like in Mario Kart DS, there was, without a shadow of a doubt, this was an S tier track. Well, look at the competition it's going up against. You got another track that's so aesthetically amazing in Neo Bowser Circuit, but it's also very compelling to race on. You've got just an absolute adventure that is probably the best Rainbow Road in this series. You've got an excellent homage to old school Mario with music that just sounds fantastic and an aesthetic that just shines charm and passion. With Waluigi, you've got all those things, but it's just not compelling enough to race on that I don't think I could put it in S tier. You can sit proudly on the top of A tier. But the music, though, is the music still enough to win me over? Spoiler alert, I think it is. I'll save my editor and all of you the trouble of watching me bop to this entire track. I'm just gonna... I'll put it in S tier, and I'll leave the rest for you to argue about in the comments as to whether it deserves its spot or not. But we're moving on. Kalimari Desert. I have a very interesting thought about this track. As of now, as I'm talking, it has been remade for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe as part of the Booster Course Pass. But so playing the original version leaves me quite conflicted as to how I feel about its design. But let's talk about it, shall we? Let's talk about it. So obviously right off the rip, it's a desert track, which already makes it so that it's probably not that interesting to look at. And as you can tell, you really are in the middle of an unknown desert because there is like nothing in the background, no ruins, no like desert town. There's like nothing back here. Lord knows why they erected these like signs for advertising. I don't know if it's worth the money personally, but I guess it is to the Mario Kart Foundation. But either way. Aesthetics aside, I do like, obviously, a quick shout out to the little shortcut just up here. You can see there's a little glider shortcut if you have a mushroom, which is quite nice. Now, see, it's the train. The train is my main issue. The whole gimmick of this stage is the train that passes by and forces racers to stop dead in their tracks. Now, in this Mario Kart, best case scenario, all this train does is slow down the track. Because, like, this is right at the beginning of the track. All the races still bunched together. So, realistically, all the train has done in this scenario is just slow the race down by a couple of seconds. And it's like, what's the point of having a hazard that just slows down the race for everyone? There really isn't, is there? But obviously the main interesting part of the train is when it slows down races at certain intervals. So either the train slows everyone down, or during the race it just slows a couple of people down. Now, this isn't so bad in theory, I suppose, because it's got an interesting way of like kind of bunching up races together. But what this means is that essentially this train here, this person's on the third lap, the first place. This train is not going to bother this racer whatsoever. But if it manages to loop around and block the other races, then all it's done is help this first person gain even more of a lead. Now, I don't really see any benefit to just slowing down certain races at certain intervals. I see no real benefit of that sort of game design. And Mario Kart 7 admittedly has tried to rectify this somewhat. On either track portion, they have like ramps. This one has a ramp here, and then this one has a ramp over to the right there. It's kind of circumvent the train in a way, but I don't know if I can describe it as eloquently as I'd like to. What I do know is that I just don't like this idea of a train coming by and just slowing down random races at random intervals of a race. It just doesn't work as a hazard. I just don't think it fundamentally just doesn't work. Now, especially with Mario Kart 7's game design, let's say this person here, obviously this person's in first, they end up just driving straight ahead and not having the train bother them. Let's say there was someone in second place who the train did stop. Because of the way the item system works in every Mario Kart before Mario Kart 7, what would that mean is that the second place person, although they're a massive distance away, would still only get like a red shell and what have you to try and catch up to the first person. Mario Kart 8's item system, as frustrating as it can be, I understand that it is, it works off distance. So the idea of a train blocking the person in second place while the first person gets to go miles ahead isn't really too bad of a game design choice, because at that distance, the second person will be able to get stars and triple mushrooms in order to cut over this big desert patch over to the right here. So like this big desert patch you can cut immediately over, so that in my hypothetical, the second place person could get a triple mushroom, speed up, go around this desert desert patch and be able to catch up to the first person. But that doesn't really happen with the way the old item system works, which is interesting because in Mario Kart 8, they actually remade this whole stage. So the train isn't as much of a balancing factor in this track. But I think the Mario Kart 7 version of this track would have worked in Mario Kart 8 because of the way the distance-based item system worked. But the old item system in this track, I don't think it gels very well. I don't think it makes for a very interesting track. You might argue that this probably has never happened to you, where the first person's gone all the way up in front and the second person's been blocked off by the train. And true, I don't think that's ever happened to me either, actually. But the fact that that's even a possibility, and if that possibility was to happen, it'd basically give you no recourse to catch up in the short amount of time the race has left. It just makes for a not very well-designed track in any front, really, on a casual or a competitive level, I don't think. I don't see anything in this track in any sort of regard. So, whereas I might be a bit more generous to the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe version of Kalimari Desert once I get around to that. This version just doesn't work. Not only is it a desert track, its main hazard just doesn't work for the game it's designed for. This track would have been a lot more interesting to see with the distance-based item system that 8 has. But with the old school item system, if you get caught by that train, you've basically lost, and there's nothing you can really do about it. If you're in the middle of the pack where you won't get a star, you're screwed. And it's never happened to me, but I hate the fact that can happen. So, beyond redemption for me, honestly. I never want to play in this race if I pick up Mario Kart 7. But do I ever want to listen to the music? I think probably the most interesting part of this track, if you ask me, is the flute bit. I do like the way the flute sounds. It really does feel like you're a cowboy in a desert. I wonder why. I'm American today. I just felt like it. But other than that, this track really doesn't do all too much for me, if I'm being honest. It's just kind of... Even this bit, it sounds alright, I guess, but... What can I tell you? It's definitely a swing and a miss, I would say, as the track is as a whole, really. But is the next track going to disappoint me as much? We have got DK Pass, the DK mountain that we didn't know we had, a DK track that always gets forgotten. I talked about this track in my Mario Kart DS video, and in that I just said it was kind of simple, didn't really do anything special for my liking. It just didn't jump out at me in the Mario Kart DS version, and I don't think this version particularly does neither. They keep the snowman section at the end here, which I quite like. Other than that, it's the same as the DS version, so... Oh, sorry, I meant it's the same, but with this extra glider bit where there was a jump. Which is just an instance to grab an extra couple coins. I don't know if you can cut from the right and, you know, take a shortcut, but I don't know, to be honest. The stage just... It was a C in Mario Kart DS, and it remains a C now, to be honest. The music, though, I think is literally the same as the DS version, too. As was mentioned in that one as well. The music has, like, 3 distinct sections that play that kind of build on each other, which is quite nice, you know? And then you got section 2. And then the final section. It's pleasant. It's pleasant on the ears. I'll put it right here. I like it. I like it. Next we have Daisy Cruiser. Now, the Daisy fandom, they weren't very kind to me when I rated this track lowly in the original GameCube version. And they were very upset at me when I gave Daisy Circuit a middling tier as well. Does this version give Daisy's Cruiser the glow up it needs? Firstly, I have to give this one credit for doing one thing right immediately. You can go either left or right on this version. Lord knows why one section was cut off in the original GameCube version, but for some reason it was. You can only go one way or the other way, depending on whether the track was mirrored or not. But this one, they opened both sides. Thanks, Daisy. Thanks for doing the renovations on your ship and allowing us to go both ways. Well done. Well done, sister. And of course, the water is non-hazardous, which, I just hate it in principle, you know, when a hazard is turned non-hazardous. It always annoys me a bit, because then it's like you've just taken a bit of intricacy in the track and just ruined it. So that's a bit of a disappointment right off the rip. But then we got the dining table section, which are rock left and right. Oh, well, the dining tables checked him. They certainly did. But I actually really do like this segment here, which he doesn't go down, which is really annoying. So I have to find a video that does. Here we go. Gamer JGB coming in clutch once more. This underground bit, I actually really like the addition of water in this segment. I actually really love it. One thing I really like about this section being flooded underwater is that whereas in the GameCube version, going on the underground section would kind of kill all your momentum because you had to wait until you landed on the ground first, then you could drive. Whereas with water in this section, you can just keep driving and keep your speed, which is actually a very, very nice rendition. I actually think that's a very, very good way to like make the alternate path at least a bit more interesting. So I'll give it points for that, Daisy Cruiser fandom. I'll give it points for that, okay? But is that enough to give it enough points to jump up to a B tier? Is it? Is it though? I'm just thinking. What do I have in C? Considering what I have in the C tier, I feel like it'd be a little harsh to put it here. Maybe it's either top of the tier here or just squeaks into B. It goes nowhere else as far as I'm concerned. No, I'm gonna stick to my guns. I'm gonna bear the brunt of the hate. I'm just gonna say it goes here. I think the changes. You know, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, like I was thinking about the changes. There's one negative change in the water being non-hazardous, but then there's two positive ones with being able to drive either side and the water section underground. You know what? Actually, now that there you go. It slides into B. I've argued myself into it just about. Is the music gonna go any higher as well? I think I'll quite like the music in this. Very pleasant. Ba-ba-ba-da. Ba-da-bum, bum, 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 bum. I have to give Mario Kart Double Dash some credit because this track was used for Peach Beach and Daisy Cruiser, and yet it fits both of them perfectly. I really feel like I'm either on the beach or on a cruise. Bam, bam, bam. I think it creeps into the upper echelon, honestly. I really like it. Maybe that's the GameCube nostalgia talking, but I think it deserves an A tier. I really think it does. What is next, though? We have got another banger alert. Maple Treeway. Or, listen, any Maple Treeway Wii enjoyers? Look away now, okay? No rope bridge. You're gonna cry? You're gonna cry about it? You're gonna shit your pants, maybe? Piss yourself? Jesus. Anyway, I shouldn't start off so combative. We'll get to that in a second. But Maple Treeway. We love Maple Treeway. We love Maple Treeway, don't we, guys? We love Maple Treeway, and we love it a lot. What's not to love about Maple Treeway? It's a banger from the Wii, given another lease of life. The leaf piles that give you items. One thing that I really like that this version still does, which a certain other version that I'm going to talk about soon doesn't do, is I really like the wigglers on Mario Kart 7. And this also happens in the Wii version too, but they kept it for Mario Kart 7. The wiggler, as you'll notice, will stop right here. In the original version, he will like check his shoulder, but this one he just kind of like stops for a second and just looks into the middle distance, just staring blankly. Not knowing why he's even existing for. Why do you exist, Wiggler? Who knows? But he does stop here, giving you just a bit, and you can have to like just about try to squeak through before he blocks the whole path. I quite like that because while it can be very, very punishing to have him block the whole path, it might make you stop, just like the trains do on Kalimari Desert. The fact that you get a chance to be like, oh, can I squeak? Can I squeak in? Can I squeak in? Can I squeak in? And then yeah, it's only ever happened a couple times where like the Wiggler actually stopped me because I didn't get there in time. No half pipe up here. No half pipe. You got this very narrow section here, which is rife for destruct. That's kind of your fault, to be honest. If you've got a red shell at a bomb, that's on you, brother man, alright? You should know better. Gold cart, you should know better, alright? And then, of course, you have this glider section in lieu of the rope bridge. There was a bouncy rope bridge in the Wii version, which is now absent. I've seen a lot of people upset about that. I don't know if it's just me personally. I'm looking in the wrong places. Couldn't really care, if I'm being honest. Do I think a glider section is a worthy replacement? Maybe? But do I care that much? No. And I don't think you should too, if I'm being honest. If someone could give me an essay as to why the rope bridge was a very compelling addition to Maple Treeway, I'll read it and I'll genuinely consider it. But when I see people complain about it, I'm just thinking, cry more. Specifically, not just cry more, but you know those really ugly cries that people do when they're just really, really crying? I want you to do one of those. That's what I want you to do. But maybe my mind can be changed. We love Maple Treeway. Upper echelon. I enjoy this a lot for sure. I think it goes top of the tier, if I'm being honest. Fantastic track. I put it in A also in the Wii version, and I don't think this version has enough to like push it up to an S. So I'm gonna keep it at A. But the music though, oh Jesus Christ. Harmonica, take me away, please. Who doesn't love this? Come on. Who isn't bopping right now? Guitar man, do your thing. Boom, boom, boom. And again. Tag in that piano man. It's just heaven to the ears, if I do say so myself. An absolute joy by any other name. What is next though? We have got another Wii banger coming back for round 2. I say banger, but hey, I don't know about this version personally. If you're asking me, guys, I know some of you guys are molding right now. Koopa Cape? What are you talking? This is it's a really good Wii track. But I don't think it makes for a very good Mario Kart 7 track, and it's for one particular reason. Of course, this beginning bit is still the same. This area is still the same. The water section, you got a bit of glider action if you fancy, but I always fancy drifting around with the speedy water. But then you get to the underwater portion, and this is where my heart breaks a little bit. Now, of course, in the Mario Kart Wii rendition, this bit wasn't actually underwater. I'm sure you already knew the section I was talking about anyway, but let's just give a bit of a picture is worth more than 1,000 words, and a video is worth 1,000,000. So once you went to the underground bit in here, you end up going in a tube. The very nice hazard. I quite like this. Electric hazard. You see it coming. You can anticipate your drift in the meantime, but if you do hit it, it actually punishes you a lot. You get zapped as if you got hit by lightning. It's very, very punishing, but I feel like its punishment is well deserved considering you can see the hazard coming way ahead of time, so you're able to maneuver around it carefully. Now they do a second one, but this time they kind of mess up your handling a little bit. The pattern that you had in your brain that you were going to use to dodge this, you kind of have to, now you have to kind of account for the water speeding you up too, which this person dodges quite excellently, but doesn't dodge the blue shell. Hardy. You've got another section, and this section also speeds you up. Stay in the middle for the speed boost. And then you have another very interesting bit, which you might not have noticed before, but I really, really liked. You have another electric section here, which moves slowly. But then you have the final electric bit, which, as you've noticed, this one's not only moving faster, but it's moving the opposite way. So you don't have to just, like, go with the flow. You have to really think about how you're going to dodge this one, because you can't dodge it the same direction you dodge the other ones. So yeah, I really like this hazard, and I think it caps off a track which starts off kind of slow, gets a bit more interesting, and finalizes it with that extra bit. But I think the 7 version just doesn't stick the landing in that same way, because you get the version, it starts off kind of slowish, gets a bit better with the water section, and then it ends with this. You end it with you actually going under the water, and while it does look very pretty, admittedly, the only hazards are these fish coming towards you, which they bump you a bit, sure, but I don't think it's as compelling. Like, they slow down a bit, yeah, but... And then there's only a few. There's just a few in the beginning. The rest of the tube section is just nothing. There's nothing here.
Where's the rest of you?
And what it might seem very harsh of me, but I really do feel like that electric tunnel bit just caps off the track in such a good way that I don't even think I could put this. I put this in S tier in Wii, but I don't think I could put it up here in this game. Again, this might draw the ire of some, but I'm willing to stand by it. I don't even think it makes A tier, if I'm being honest. I think it sits down here with these lot. I'll put it at the top of the tier. It stays on B tier. It gets demoted twice. Harsh. But I'm sticking with it, honestly. I really like that final bit. And the stage isn't the same without it. But the music, though... oh, the music. We love the music. Whistle man coming in. I'll save you guys the time and trouble. I'm just gonna put it up here. It's still fantastic. It's still a fantastic rendition. I'll put it here. I'll put it right there. S tier. Look how much S tier music there is. Amazing. This game is so good. Next we've got Dino Jungle. Dino Jungle? That's what I used to call it when I was a kid. It's Dino, isn't it? Dinosaur? I don't know why I said that when I was a kid. But either way, I didn't really like this one as a kid when I played this in the GameCube version. But I do think this track is actually very, very good when you think about it. Also, as I explained in my GameCube tier list, which you should totally watch after this one if you haven't already. If I recall correctly, I think the GameCube version of this, I think the GameCube version, though, had a better sort of incentive for you to go in between the dino's legs here. Instead, in this version, you get coins, which, I mean, coins are always good. It's always good to have more coins, I suppose. But a coin over an item box, I could see someone probably not bothering to risk getting an additional coin by slaloming in between this dinosaur's legs, although this person does here and grabs 1 coin for their troubles and drops a few places. I think this section doesn't work as well as it does in the Double Dash version, mainly because the speed panel section, which this person does take, in the Double Dash version, this bridge was not only a bit smaller, but the speed boosts made it so that it was much more harder to handle your car. But in this version, I feel like this speed panel section is always the best section to take. Unless I might be wrong in that the regular yellow bridge is actually quite fast too. But I feel like in this version, considering how fast it is to just use this bridge, and the speed boost doesn't mess up your handling too much, unlike in the Double Dash version, I feel like it's a lot better to just use that version over any other part of the bridge. Although I could be wrong, it just feels that way to me. And then you guys got a nice shortcut over on the right, which still maintains itself. I didn't know. I thought the water kind of like messed you up. I didn't know like it flung you up like that in this version because I've never fallen for it personally. I know, bit of a gamer, but it's nice to see that, I suppose. You can trick off the little bumps as well, and then you got a glider section here, which can go underneath the dinosaur, go above the dinosaur. I quite like that as a bit of a choice. And if I'm not mistaken, I think if you get enough speed, you can go over this U-turn as well. I used to see that online quite a lot as well. You got quite a nice few additions. Some additions I don't really like, but overall, I would say it's a solid-ish track. Honestly, I wouldn't complain too much if I got it. I'll put it in B as well. It's solid. It's solid. Can't complain. The music though, the music is just nostalgia and vibes, isn't it? It really takes me back. This track also being used in Donkey Kong Mountain in the GameCube version as well, which you might recognize it from. It's a real foot tap, and I'm not complaining. I don't know if this is in the GameCube version, actually. I just noticed it in this version right now. Hang on, just listen to it. Oh, it sounds like a Donkey Kong kind of beating his chest in the background there. Oh, it's quite nice. That's quite charming. You know, you get to go up a bit for that. I never actually noticed that, but it's quite a nice addition. I hope that's in every version. And now we get to yet another banger. We've got so many bangers in a row. Their retro choices were just Airship Forretress. Doesn't it look so good with its 3DS graphics? Looks so amazing. Just as I said in my DS video, this track has just consistently designed very, very well. You got the opening section with the bullet bills here. Again, the sort of hazard where you can see them coming, so you have to keep your head on a swivel to dodge them. So I always like those sorts of hazards personally. You have a drift hazard, as I'm going to call them now, where the Monty Mole is kind of like blocking your inner drift here. So while you can thread the needle and drift in here, if you're feeling very, very fancy and if your skill level really is that elite, you might just want to go around him instead, which I think this person opts to do. And also another pothole here to entice you to do the same thing. Another sort of hazard which you can just kind of see coming. The boxes as well. If you throw an item into them, something might come out and help you. A cannon ride, which might not be too interesting as a concept, but considering Mario Kart 7 started the trend of having cannon sections make you no longer invulnerable to all sorts of hazards, I think this section adds a little bit of tension where there might not have been any Mario Karts past. And then you got a spiral, which throwing a green shell on one of these is a guaranteed way to start a party, honestly. While the spiral might not be too interesting for most, but again, throwing an item into it will really rattle the nerves, mainly because since you're drifting around, you don't really have as much control of your car when you're drifting as you do when you could just regularly move. So trying to avoid hazards and stuff really makes that spiral a lot more interesting. It gets a bit more tense as more items get placed on it as the match goes on, and I really like that. But yeah, it's just consistently designed very well. I can't tell. What else can I say? What else can I say? I still love it. The question is, does it make the cut? Does it make the cut into S? You know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna put it in S. I think it deserves it. It might be a bit of a weird choice. Maple Treeway didn't make the cut. Coconut Mall, Waluigi Winball, Guy Bazaar didn't. None of these made the cut, but I just love what Airship Forretress does. It's so well designed, and it makes for such a good track to race on in multiplayer. I love it. I really do. It's such a good track, and the music. Oh, say no more, fam. You got that bum ba da bum bum ba, just driving the track constantly. I'll save you guys the trouble. It has to say Nestor. Top 3. It gets the bronze medal for now. As far as I'm concerned, fantastic. Jubilation. If I've ever heard anything different. Let's keep going to the final track in the game. Super Nintendo Rainbow Road, making its second ever remake appearance. This time, they gave it the justice it deserves. Honestly, just look at how good that looks. Some people might just think this Rainbow Road is a bit too simple, but I think it does everything that a Rainbow Road is supposed to do. The stage is very, like, compact, keeping all the races, like, bumping into each other. You got the thwomps constantly adding a very, very intriguing fret. A bit of ramps to give you guys some boosts if you fancy. A little shortcut over there with that small ramp. I just love what this stomp does because, like, when it hits down, like, it leaves you with such a little band to go past that it really makes you thread that needle. And then if you do, you end up getting some ripples to jump off as well. So it offers both a very good hazard, also offering you a bit of extra speed to catch up. You know, I quite like it. And then you got a lovely addition to this version, which I don't think was present in the original or the GBA remake, is this ramp here to entice you. If you've got a mushroom, you can just skip this whole bit. You don't have to make the choice of which one do you go for, you know? And then you got the very ending where, again, you have to thread the middle there. I don't know if you ever had this, but I've had a couple of times where I've had me and one person just bumping each other right at the end, and whoever has the heaviest car can just bump the other person out the way to go down through the middle to get that first place. Well, if that's ever happened, you know the feeling. It feels really good. I love this rendition of Rainbow Road. I love it. I love it a lot. Is it enough for an S tier though? I'm gonna put it in S tier. I just love racing on this. This version's no different, honestly. I just love racing on this Rainbow Road. It's so good. It's so good. You might be screaming at your monitor right now, but good. Let the anger flow through you. What about the music though? And my favorite segment. I feel like this version walked so the 8 Deluxe rendition could run, because my favorite segment of this track has always been this segment here, right? But I just feel like the drums just sound way better on the 8 Deluxe version, and I think the track as a whole just sounds a lot nicer in the 8 Deluxe version. And I feel like this one laid the groundwork for the 8 Deluxe version, so it could be the best version of this theme that ever existed. But I still like this one. I still like this one for sure. And I'm gonna put it in B as well. While it's a good rendition, this version walked so the other one could run. Is that it? That's the tier list. Oh, here's the list, gamers. So. Those were my lists, but now it's time to see what you guys came with. While live streaming over on Twitch, by the way, I told my viewers to give me their tier list to see what they came up with. I got pretty angry at one of them in particular. Mario Kart 7. We're going to start off strong with G-Man's tier list. Let's have a look. So he's got the best Rainbow Road in the best tier you can possibly put it. G-Man, I love you already. I've fallen for you before, G-Man. You're the one who put Airship Forretress in C. Wuhu Island, Guy Bazaar, Wuhu Mountain, Maple Treeway, and Piranha. Ooh, that's a stacked A tier. That's a stacked A tier for sure. Let's see what you put at the bottom. Toad Circuit, DK Jungle. Ooh, another GK Jungle disliker. I don't know, make my camera a bit smaller, so I'm not blocking any of their selections. Oh, Airship Forretress again. It stays in the same spot. Oh, G-Man. Bowser Castle as well. Doesn't even get an A. It's in B, not a C. I don't know, man. You gotta bump it up to an A. It's A. Airship Forretress A, alright. Dan Alaman. Dan Alamor. Let's go. Everyone's got Rainbow Road as their best track. I rate it. I rate it. Neo Bowser City. Love the choice. Wuhu Island. And then Koopa Cape in S. Bit of an odd choice. Bit of an odd choice if you ask me. Making that section underwater just like takes a lot of the thrill of that area for me. You got music about Rosalina Ice World as well. Why is that so high? That beginning bit where you drift is kind of cool. But that's it. And the Kalimari Desert is a weird one as well. DK Jungle. Mushroom George. That's fine. What's in the bottom? You have to explain Coconut Mall as well. You can't just put that. He puts it in D, F. That's even F tier as well. Airship Forretress there as well. What is going on here, lad? Those are two of the best stages in the game. I have a Discord level mouthful for Coconut Mall and Airship Forretress. I actually want to hear it, bruv.
I'll see you in court.
Dan, my man.
Okay.
F tier. Okay, first let's talk about Coconut Mall. What do you think about Wii Coconut Mall?
It is like a B or a C. It's okay.
So, and then you put this one in F. What makes it so F in this game?
Okay.
Explain.
So they changed the escalators to arrows instead of actual escalators, which kind of removes their entire purpose.
Did you see my Mario Kart Wii one? My argument I made in that, for a Flower Cup track, I think the escalators were a bit too punishing. Maybe the arrows were a bit, like, overcorrecting, but I still think it was a bit much.
Well, actually, there was a Pianta in the middle of them both that pointed to the right one.
Does he?
So if you just looked at the little, yeah.
Oh, shit. Okay, you know, you own me with facts and logic. If that's true, then take my whole point back. Anyway, continue then. All right, so other than escalators.
So, yeah, there's a lack of mushroom shortcuts. There's one through a store, but it saves like barely any time. A lot of the corners are like just short enough so that you can't build the next level of mini turbo.
Right.
Or they're just at such a weird angle that it's just not fun to drift around them. And there's a lot of straight lines in that course as well. Like there's a massive one before the escalators. There's a massive one with the 3 little tricking surfaces that I don't know what they're called. One of them's like a water fountain. Kind of mid-version in Mario Kart Wii. They removed a car from the end as well. Not even the top one, but the bottom jump as well has been replaced with a glider ramp, which just it does not need to be there whatsoever.
Why did you have to take notes for? Fucking hell, you made a very you've convinced me now. I hate you. Why'd you do that? Brother man, know how you're gonna convince me with this, alright?
Probably won't.
Okay, go on.
I don't have nothing special about this track in my opinion whatsoever.
I
It's a bunch of bland-ass turf. F is supposed to be like nothing redeemable.
Surely that's a bit harsh then, right? For Airship Forretress.
Yeah, I mean, it's just because they're obstacles, but they're not very effective as obstacles because I can avoid them.
I kind of like those obstacles because like the ones where like you kind of see them coming, like makes you multitask in a way in your brain. Do you know what I mean? Because you have to kind of look for the hazard, but also be careful of anyone like near you so they're not tailgating you. Then you also have to be careful if someone's like, if you can hear a green shell coming behind you. Like, I like those hazards because they forces you to kind of like multitask just a tiny bit.
I do get that appeal, and I'm more of a time child than an online player.
Fair enough. So I might genuinely consider my Coconut Mall placement, but I think with Airship Forretress, it's just we're looking at it from two different perspectives.
Yeah,
but,
the way we're looking at it,
fair enough, man. Have a good one, Danya. But let's go to Ross from Friends, Wuhu Island, Music Park, Wuhu Mountain, Rosalina Ice World. Ross, you're looking more like fucking Friends Ross with this take. God damn. So this is Nebula's. We've got Koopa Cape. The very okay. You said it's not ordered, so I'm not gonna. But it's still not S tier though. It's still not S tier. Do you know what I mean? This version of Koopa Cape, Mario Kart Wii Koopa Cape, yes. This version of Koopa Cape, you know, Nebula, you need to sit down. Unbased tier list. You sit out and think about what you did, okay? Sponge Man, Ice Cone. Reposting again based off my scuffed experience from Mario Kart Tour, lol. Sponge didn't own a 3D Air. Sponge didn't own a 3D... Everyone laugh at him. Click W's. Woo! He's got Bowser Castle, Airship Forretress, Waluigi Winball. Mid. Alright. Ooh, Shy Guy Bazaar? You been Shy Guy Bazaar? In mid tier? Alright, Twilight Mew, my beloved. Honey. Waluigi Winball in S? The only S though? Very greedy with your S tiers, but anyway, calamari in A as well. God, I know why she put it there, guys. I know why she put it there. She was one of those people who would be like 6th, and then like you see that you know that big sandy patch. She'd be able to just like drift across and get like 2nd place. That was her. That's why she likes this track so much. D tier. What's in D tier? Oh, too much Zaza. Too much of that Zaza. That is an abhorrent D tier as a collection. But good job, honey. Good job. Toaster, the Formula 1 man. Please know you put Bowser Castle in there. Bowser and okay, you're just capping on the stack. You know what? Ruby Bear. Here we go. Here comes Ruby Bear. What have you got here? Daisy Cruiser. Is this ordered within the tiers? Not ordered. Okay, so you got so many good spots. You got SNES Rainbow Road, Airship Forretress, Music Park, Neo Bowser, and then you got like Koopa Cape and Daisy Circuit just like mulling it up there. You know what's going on? What's going on? Pinball and Coconut Mall. Listen, do you know what? I reject this. You know what? I'm saying your opinion is wrong. If someone says, but Musty, an opinion can't be wrong, I'm like, you know what? Fuck. Motherfucker was like, pinball on those stages are too overrated. So are you basing the fact that you don't like a stage based off how many people like it? Are you one of those, I like that track before it was cool? Are you one of those? And then Maple Tree. I didn't see Maple Treeway. You know, I said Dan's or Twilight Mew's bottom tier was the worst, but I think it might go to Gay Ruby Bear, if I'm being honest. No rope bridge. And that's enough for the tier. Like, ironically, it was the rope that was holding the track together for you, was it? Unreal. And that was Mario Kart 7. After Mario Kart 8 came out, history wasn't too kind to this game, but I feel like as time goes on, people are going to start remembering just what a great Mario Kart game this actually was. Got any agreements or disagreements with my own tier list? Be sure to let me know. I'm sure you already have. Give me a like while you're down there, and until the next time, there's your love.
Here come that watching water. Here come that watching roll. Keep me rolling down the streets, rolling to the beat. Keep me rolling down